Krallık Üniversiteler Temsilciliği SI UK Türkiye'nin hazırlamış olduğu webinar serisine hoş geldiniz. Bugün sizlerle Edinburgh Üniversitesi temsilcisi Eli ile beraber üniversitenin kabul şartları, kampüs, konaklama, olanakları ve burs imkanları hakkında konuşuyor olacağız. Temsilcimizin önce okul hakkında bir sunumu olacak. Ardından soru cevap kısmına geçebiliriz. Chat box'tan sorularınızı iletebilirsiniz. Evet, şimdi Eli'yi davet edebiliriz. Hi, Eli. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes, I can.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you. There will be a Q&A session after your presentation. Now you may start with your
Brilliant. Thank
presentation.
you. And can everybody see the slides? Yes.
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you for that lovely introduction. My name is Ali Stewart, and I'm one of the international recruitment managers at the University of Edinburgh. And I specifically look after students coming from Turkey over to the UK. So I'll cover quite a few bits of information in the presentation today, but as you've heard, I'll reserve some time at the end for a Q&A. So if there's anything else students would like to hear or learn more about, I'm happy to answer any particular questions. So I'll kind of start a little bit broadly about why studying in the UK is a great idea, and in particular, why you might want to consider studying in Scotland for your undergraduate degree. So there are world famous universities across the UK, that includes here in Scotland, but also across England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And all of the countries within the UK are home to these universities. And these universities are at the cutting edge of kind of global technology, discoveries, emerging research, and they truly are a wonderful place to start your career. So you're guaranteed a high quality education when you join us here in the UK. And there's a wide variety of options across the country in terms of different types of universities, different ways you might be taught at university, different programs, different lengths of degrees, and lots of opportunity then once you finish that degree to even stay and work in the UK after you graduate, which of course also then adds to that employability and that desirability of your skill set when you return home or elsewhere after graduation. So as I said, there's quite a few different options across the UK. You have the 3-year degree structure in England and Wales and Northern Ireland. It's a little bit different in Scotland. We offer a 4-year undergraduate degree, and I'll focus a little bit more about this and why this is for our session today. You might be really familiar with the US, which also has a 4-year bachelor degree structure. And if you compared kind of the English, the Scottish and the American structure, you'll find that the kind of options here in Scotland kind of sit right in the middle of two very different systems. So in England, you'll have a 3-year very focused degree where you'll be studying kind of in your degree or your main program level across all 3 years with very limited opportunities to change your major or to take outside courses. On the whole other side of the spectrum, you have the US structure, which is a 4-year degree, just like here in Scotland, but you have a general education structure over your first 2 years, which allows you to take courses across a variety of subjects. So it's quite broad to start and then gets more narrow and focused over the last 2 years. But then in the middle, you have kind of the Scottish degree structure, which is quite focused and flexible and allows for a bit of breadth of study over your first 2 years. So we find that it sits quite nicely in between the English and the American structure. So in Scotland, you'll start studying your major in your first year. You'll take classes out with your major across your first year and your second year. This allows you to, again, have that broad focus, that breadth of study over years 1 and 2, which we know are quite prized by employers as being really valuable skill sets. And then you'll be, of course, taking your core classes in your major, in your discipline of interest across all 4 years, allowing you to have that very focused and specific level of intelligence and knowledge within your subject area as well. So not only do you get that breadth of study, you also get that depth of study within the Scottish degree system. So it says on here, most of our degrees are 4 years. That is true. There are a few exceptions. These tends to be more vocational type degrees, such as medicine or veterinary medicine. And we also have kind of integrated masters available here in Scotland, which would also be a 5-year degree, but allowing you to attain your master's degree into that 5th year. And this tends to be more in our STEM subjects, and in particular within our engineering and some of our mathematics degrees. But in the UK, we have kind of a typical or standard academic year structure, very similar to most of the Northern Hemisphere. Our initial semester starts every September here in Scotland and will run until Christmas, or until December, with the second semester commencing in January and running until May or June. And a few more kind of important points about the Scottish degree structure is we really do place an emphasis on what we call independent study, self-motivation, and critical thinking. So these are really core aspects of the degree and skills that you'll develop as part of your time here in Scotland. And what I really like to highlight here is this emphasis on independent study, because this is really important for high school leavers when they're coming to do their first undergraduate degree. Because there is quite a difference in structure and how you're taught in high school, perhaps, every day in a classroom from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. But when you come to university, you're only taking a couple classes every semester. You might only have a limited number of contact hours, maybe 20, 25. And the rest of the time each week, you'll be kind of expected to be studying what we call independently. So that means doing your homework on your own or with your peer study group. This means attending kind of study groups and working sessions, doing your background reading in the library, preparing any essays or prompts to questions that you might have been asked to do. So a lot of work that you'll be expected to manage on your own. And this again is helping to prepare you for success in the sector that you're hoping to join once you graduate as well. So this is part of that career development that really is ingrained in our degrees from year one. So when you're looking to study in the UK or Scotland, you have your choice of university. We have over 160 universities in the UK and about 20 in Scotland. So you might want to consider where you want to be based, kind of what type of location. Would you like to be in a big city, a small coastal town, a country-based or a parklands-based campus? You might also want to consider what you want your student experience to be like. Do you want accommodation close by? Do you want it on campus? Are you interested in extracurricular opportunities? Are you looking at particular sports? Or clubs or ways to get involved? Do you have a preference in terms of size of kind of student community? Do you want to be a part of a larger school or a smaller school? In terms of your academic interests, what kind of degree options are you looking to pursue? Is there a particular subject or perhaps a joint honors subject, which is where you might study 2 subjects together that you're really interested in? Is research an important part of your degree? Now, while research might not be, a huge component of an undergraduate degree, there are particular universities like the University of Edinburgh where research is a really important part in driving initiative across the university and does impact our undergraduate community quite a lot. You might want to think about study abroad options. Do you want to study abroad as part of your degree or do an internship or a work placement? Do you want flexibility in the choices regarding your courses that you're choosing to take? Are rankings important to you? What about teaching, again, or research? You also, of course, want to consider things like costs, tuition fees, living costs, and opportunities for scholarships as well. So quite a number of things that will play an important role in helping you to decide what you want to study and where you might want to place your university application. So I often find it's quite helpful to touch on the entry criteria for undergraduate degrees just a little bit here, because I know that while it is quite different across different universities and colleges, it's helpful to have an understanding of what to look for. So it is fair to say that every university will set its own entry criteria, its own kind of qualifications for eligibility. Now, this will definitely vary depending on the subject or the major and the university, whether you're looking for direct entry or perhaps for a pathway provider. And the requirements will be set by this individual university or college to ensure that you have the right skills and knowledge to be successful on the course. So this is a really important piece of information to note, that we really want to make sure that when you join our programs, that you're very likely to succeed, because we don't want to waste your time. And you certainly don't want to start a degree that you're unable to finish. Now, for most programs, you will find that academic criteria or grades are an important part of the application process. They might be, the first thing that you're looking to make sure that you achieve. But universities will also consider things like your personal statement and references as well. And I will talk about this in just a moment. But your personal statement can play a really key role in your application and making sure that you're sharing with us, the admission selectors, that you understand which course you're applying for and that it's the right course for you. So you want to be telling us, of course, why you're interested in the particular subject, where that interest stemmed from, where did that interest peak, and what skills, knowledge, and abilities you bring to the subject based on your high school performance. So what did you do in school that developed a key quality within you that you can then apply to studying X subject at university? And of course, your references with your predicted grades are also an important part of that application. And for some programs, you might have additional qualifications to consider. These might be English language tests, aptitude tests for medicine, a portfolio potentially, or even an interview, again, depending on that particular subject. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but I've outlined a bit of an excerpt on here, which is kind of the university's entry criteria at Edinburgh for a particular program. And what I really wanted to highlight here is that most universities will, of course, have a standard entry criteria. This might be, a certain number of points in the IB diploma. This might be a certain number of AP classes, but they'll also have then potentially subject area requirements. So this might be a specific higher level in maths, or an AP in calculus as an example. So it's very important in your research kind of phase when you're looking to create a university shortlist that you're making sure that you meet not only that standard entry criteria, that overall academic qualification and eligibility requirement, but also any subject specific requirements, because these tend to not be very flexible. So for example, at Edinburgh, we require English for law programs. If you've not taken English at higher level or at A level or as an AP, it will be really difficult to consider your application for our law program. So that's just one example for you. So you probably are familiar already with how to apply to the UK, but all UK universities use UCAS, and that includes the University of Edinburgh and all Scottish universities as well. Now, it is worth noting that some universities may have separate application portals or ways that they accept applications, but what's important is that if you do apply to UK universities and you are looking to apply to at least a handful, that UCAS may be the best option. Now, the great thing about UCAS is that you can apply to up to 5 courses on that singular application form. So you just upload one application form and make 5 choices. So noting that you're only applying or including one personal statement, one personal reference, and one kind of application form. So it really does make sense to make sure that you are kind of fulfilling each of those 5 degree choices. And you may have picked up that I mentioned that you're only including one personal statement. So here it's also worth noting that when you're applying to the UK, you want to make sure that your UK personal statement is very much applicable to all of your UCAS choices. And this can be tricky when you're applying to different subjects. But I would encourage you to reach out to the particular universities that you're considering to kind of ask what the kind of options are for kind of still managing to create and upload and share an applicable personal statement. So for example, at the University of Edinburgh, for some of our programs, we may accept an additional personal statement. So it's always worth asking just to make sure, again, that your application is completed to the best of your ability. And noting as well that there are really strict deadlines and kind of rigid deadlines within the UCAS system. And it's very important that you follow these. For example, October 15th is the key deadline for all programs within medicine, veterinary medicine, and for the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, also dentistry as well. And at most universities, the next important date is our January deadline. This tends to be the latest date for kind of what we would call our equal consideration period. And after this date in January, many university programs, particularly those that are highly selective or oversubscribed, will close to new applications. So again, very important that you're submitting that application on time and in advance of any kind of relevant deadlines to ensure that your application will be considered in the time frame that you're hoping it is considered in. And worth noting too that all applications for UCAS will open every September, usually that first week of September, for students looking to enter the following September. So as I mentioned, here are some of those kind of key deadlines for 2025 entry, which is next year. Actually, we've already passed our Oxford, Cambridge and clinical course deadline of October 15th, but we still have that equal consideration deadline of the 29th of January coming up, and worth noting that that deadline is 6 p.m. UK time, and that's for full and complete submission of your application, and all of your documents, including your predicted grades, will need to be received by a particular university at that time. So just noting that we've got a few minutes left for our session today before I open it up to a question and answer session. So I wanted to take about a minute to talk to you about the University of Edinburgh in particular, which is the university that I represent. The University of Edinburgh, of course, is based in Edinburgh, which is in the capital of Scotland, and we are absolutely delighted to be what we call a city-based university. So this means that we're not a campus university where we're tucked with all of our buildings in kind of a countryside campus in the middle of the countryside, but rather we utilize the entire city of Edinburgh as our campus. So for those of you who visit the University of Edinburgh or who have visited before, you will see that you have literally university buildings kind of dotted and interspersed among key city centre landmarks. And this is really important for our students and for really allowing them to not only integrate with the University of Edinburgh campus community, but they also get to integrate with the city and the local residents as well. And this is something that we know that they truly value, and it allows them to kind of really live that kind of study abroad dream, helps them to integrate into kind of part-time work and looking into kind of the career sector as well, and getting a glimpse of what life actually looks like in Edinburgh for residents as well as for students. In terms of our university, Edinburgh is a large university community. We are one of the largest universities in the UK, certainly the largest in Scotland, and we do offer nearly 400 different bachelor degree programs for our undergraduate degree programs. So you've got a lot of choice based on some of the subjects that you might be interested in. So everything, and of course not limited to subjects like medicine, philosophy, politics, economics, business, engineering, computer science, architecture, engineering, law, English literature, and so many more. And again, being based in Scotland, we do have that flexible degree opportunity, allowing students to potentially kind of change or reconsider their degree option into the end of their first year. And this is especially true in our arts, humanities, and social science courses. Edinburgh, as you're probably familiar with, it is very highly ranked and reputable and regarded across the world. We have a really strong alumni community across Europe, across Turkey, across the globe, and our alumni are really looking out for our new graduates and welcome them into that community once they complete their degree, and then help support them in kind of looking for a job and finding the right kind of career move for them. It does go without saying, and it is worth mentioning for me here, that Edinburgh can be considered a selective university. We are competitive for entry across some of our programs, although not all of them. And so it is worth noting that all applications should be in before that January equal consideration deadline upcoming here on the 29th of January 2025. So with the time frame kind of bearing in mind, I think I'll kind of leave the presentation there. But once again, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in this evening. My name is Ali Stewart, and it is my pleasure to talk to you about the University of Edinburgh. And I'd now like to open up to our question and answer session, if that's okay. Thank you again, and please feel free to get in touch. My contact details are listed on the slide here. Many thanks.
Thank you very much, Ali, for your presentation, for your nice presentation. So there will be Q&A session now. So one of the question is, how does the university support sustainability efforts on campus, and are there any specific initiatives or programs related to environmental impact that students can get involved with?
Yeah, that's a biggie. Absolutely. Edinburgh, of course, like many universities in the UK, is very committed to bettering the environment, and in particular, making sure that we're making progress toward Sustainable Development Goals as set out by the UN. I would encourage you to have a look at our website, which details kind of our progress and initiatives toward each of the Sustainable Development Goals, and I'm happy to put a link into the chat for you. And we also offer a number of programs that incorporate, of course, sustainable development, environmental sustainability, climate change, etc., into our course curriculum. Edinburgh, as I mentioned, is a highly selective and a large research institution. So we have a lot of research ongoing, especially at the master's level, into many areas that are quite critical to the future of our environment. And as I noted, students who are even doing their undergraduate degree with us in things like geography or geology, they are being exposed to this kind of world-changing research that is happening literally on a daily basis. And I do like to share too that at Edinburgh, what is quite unique is that all of our research professors are required to teach in addition to doing their research. So this means that your professors are conducting research alongside their teaching and sharing that information with you as it's happening. So it gives you a really unique glimpse into that. So I'm just going to put a link into, which includes our sustainability targets, some of which include kind of being kind of cost neutral or climate neutral by 2040. Let me just pop that in there. And I can also pop a link into our degree finder, which again links to many of our degree programs where you might find degrees within a particular area, again, such as environmental sustainability, that you might be interested in.
Thank you very much. Another question is, what support systems are in place for international students at the University of Edinburgh, both academically and socially?
Yep, great question. So I can speak on behalf of Edinburgh in terms of kind of transition support to the university for international students, and then on-program support once you join. So for students coming from outside of Edinburgh, we offer a whole program of kind of, I guess, social support when you first arrive to the city. That includes things like making friends, meeting your peers, introductions to the university, providing campus tours, where to find groceries. And there's a whole program, a week-long program of events that is coordinated, again, to just support this transition to a new city and to and to the university. And then on program, there's a variety of ways that students can get support in terms of mental health and well-being, any kind of study or learning disabilities, but also kind of socially and academically as well. We offer on-program support for English language, for academic study skills, perhaps that's for research skills, or even for kind of referencing skills or curriculum writing skills. So depending on what you need, there's definitely is a support service or area across the university which supports that. I would say what's quite good advice that I hear from a lot of our students is that many things will be signposted to you, and if you're in need of support, it's up to you to kind of be proactive and go out and find that support. The university, of course, offers a wide range of services, but they won't come kind of knocking at your door to provide them for you. So it is really important that you're reflecting on what you need and making sure that you're taking advantage of some of those support services out there for you. And I can also put in a little link to kind of highlight some of these for our students. So this link will include everything from academic life support, living in Edinburgh support, and so on. I hope that helps. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Now, as I can see, there are no more questions.
Okay.
So you covered everything, I think, and one should see and study there.
Absolutely. And if anyone has any contact or any further questions, they can contact me directly, or through your office.
Also, they could
really
contact SI UK Turkey offices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Make applications to your selective university. Yeah.